Hi, my name is Hamid. I'm instructor, Cisco instructor at ASM Educational Center. We are located in Rockford, Maryland. Our website is www.asmed.com. Today I'm going to talk about configuring router as OSPF. This is part 1. Later on, next video, we're going to talk about how we can use a wildcard in OSPF. In another video, I'm going to show you how you can use a wildcard with the access list. So in this video, I'm going to talk about wildcards using OSPF. In previous video, I talked about how to use wildcard notation, which I highly recommend that you watch that video before you come into this video. Now, the goal is that we have a network 10 here, network 20, and network 30. The goal is that PC1 be able to ping PC4. Let's try that. When I go to PC1, I go to command prompt, I type in IP config. Okay? So my IP is 10.10.10.1 is, okay? That's PC1. This PC is what? 30.30.4. So let's see if I can ping that. Ping 30.30.30.4. I can see that it goes up to .100, which is up to router, then it's drop. So why is that? Probably, as the previous video we covered that static router 1 should be able to see network 10, network 20, and loop back 111 and network 30. If it doesn't see network 30, we have to check the routing table. So I go back to my notes. Again, see that PC1, I cannot ping this. Why? Since I have to go router 1, make sure it's inside my routing table list. So I go to router 1. I type this. I'm router 1 right now. Show. Let's say first show IP INT brief first before we do anything else. Okay. I have 10.10.10.100. That's this side of router. My serial is what? 2020.5. That's this router is. Again, look at this. We have 2020.4/30. Remember that .4/30 means what? Block size of 4. So the subnet mask will be 255, 255, 252. So this is .4. This has to be .5 and .6. So this side is .5. Let's see if we can ping the other side of the router. Ping 20.20.20.6. So all the connectivity between these are good, okay? Now what I'm going to do, look at this. I have 1, 2, 3 connected. So this is one network, network 20, network 10, and this is loopback is, okay? That's the loopback which is 1, 1. If I type in show IP route right here, show IP route, I can see network what? 1, 10, and 20. I do not see network 30. Why is that? Because it's not in my routing table. That's a problem. So to solve the problem, as we saw in the last video, which was a static route, we did static route. Static route, that means we put it in. Here we're going to talk about dynamic routing, which one of them is OSPF. So one of them is called OSPF, which we're going to talk about that. So we have to configure OSPF in this router and also in this router. Eventually, they both can ping each other, okay? So I go to my notes. Again, as we see that, seated at this, I cannot do this. It's not in my routing table because I see only this network. As we see, router 1 does not see network 30. So I'm going to advertise it in OSPF. Now, hint, make sure you type show IP INT brief before you advertise it. So let's go to router 1 right now. I'm back to here, router 1. I'm going to type it show IP INT brief. Let's look at this. Remember that for exam, always you have to advertise directly connected network. It's very important. You have to advertise this number, that number, and that number. But when you advertise on exam, you have to use correct wildcard for exam. And in real life, you can do different way. It's no problem. But for exam, CCNA, especially CCNP exam, you have to use a correct wildcard. Okay? So I go to router 1. Look what I say, hint. Make sure you advertise it with correct wildcard. Remember that from previous video, /30 means what? Right here. /30 means what? 00.3. And the /24 means what? 00.255. So when you do advertise OSPF, you must use what? Correct subnet what? ID. The subnet ID for both router, for F00 is what? This is 1010.0 is, that's the subnet ID. The subnet ID for this side, for these guys, is .4 is. So you better use .4 for router 1 and that. So here's on router 1 configuration. All you have to do is say config T, which we're going to do that. Router OSPF 110. Then you have to say what? Network. I'm a router 1. I want to advertise what? This network. You gotta use a correct subnet ID, question mark. You gotta use a wildcard, question mark, area 0. Same thing, you have to advertise this guy. Network what? 10.10.10.0. Then /24 means what? What's a wildcard? As I mentioned right here, wildcard is what? Right here. 00.255. Again, if you don't know how to do wildcard, I highly recommend you see my previous video. And then for loopback, you gotta use what? Network 110 and that, okay? So let's do it right now. So I go router 1 right now. You can say config T router OSPF question mark. This is called process ID. You can use any number you like, but for simplicity, I'm gonna use 1110 just for simplicity because I like 110, okay? Now the key is, remember that on exam, this number does not has to be same. This is called local significance. I can use process ID a number here like 110, and router 2 I can use process ID of 5. It doesn't matter. In order these two guys talk, in order they become neighbors, in order the OSPF see each other, you have to use same area. So then I'm gonna say network, okay? Now I want to advertise this guy right here, network 20. But again, remember that you have to use what? Wildcard, question mark. Oops, sorry about that. What I need a wildcard. Here you better use a subnet ID. The wildcard here is going to be what? 0.0.0.3 question mark. Then I need word what? Area. So I'll put the word area, and here we always use area what? 0. Okay? That's for what? Advertising this network. Now I'm going to advertise this network. This is my what? Right here. So I'm going to put a note here. /24 wildcards is what? 0.0.0.255. Again, if you forgot it, make sure you go back to most of the look for. So I'm going to go back to router 1 again. So I'm going to say what? Network. Now I want to advertise this number 10.10.10.100 again, but you're going to use a subnet ID. The subnet ID will be what right here? 10.10.10.0. So I'm going to put 10.10.10.0 question mark. I need what? Wildcard. What's a wildcard? Right here. 0.0.0.255 area what? 0. And also I have a loopback address. Let's advertise that too. This was a /24, so it's going to be same thing again. Network 1.1.1.0, that's a subnet ID. 0.0.0. Oops, sorry. .255 area what? 0. Okay. Control C. Let's look at that. Show run. I will check the work. I come down right here. Router OSPF 110. This is for network 2020.4. That's my right here. I'm advertising .5. You can always, you gotta use this. You gotta use the subnet ID. This is the wildcard area 0. This is 10.10.10.0. This is for this side, and that's that. Wildcard 00255, and this is my loopback. Okay. So that's what I did so far. So here's my show run on router 1, which I've done all of that. Now I'm gonna do same thing on what router 2. Again, hint. Make sure you type what? Show IP INT brief before you do anything. Why? So you can see what you have it. I highly recommend you always do that. So I go to router 2, enable, show IP INT what? Brief. Again, I have network 30, connect to my LAN, that's right here, 30.30.100. I have 2020.6, that's this guy, 2020.6 right here. Okay. And then also I have a loopback address, 2222, which correspond to here. So what I'm going to do, I have to advertise each one by one. Always advertise directly connected, okay? I'll go back to my notes. Again, I show IP anti-brief. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say config T, router OSPF 110. I can use any number. Then I say network what? 30.0. I did this guy. Okay? That's my what? Subnet IDs right here. Remember that? 30.0. And the wildcard is, again, wildcard is the same. Wildcards is what? 0.0.0. what? 255. Okay? Good job. So go back to my notes. Then I put the wildcard area 0, okay? Then I said what? Network. I did the loopback address intentionally. No, I did this at end. Now watch this. As soon as I put this network, that means I'm advertising a link between these two guys. As soon as I put this with the correct what? Subnet ID will be what? 2020.4. wildcard 00. Look what happened. As soon as I do that, look what happened. I see some kind of what? Activity. Why is that? Because router 1 is advertising network 2020.4. Router 2 is advertising. They both send hello packet. As soon as you see hello packet, I will see they become neighbors. Okay, that's the keys. The key is, remember for exam, in order router 1 to see router 2, you better advertise directly connected network with the correct subnet ID. So let me do that right now. I go to router 2 right now. Config T, router OSPF question mark. Again, I can use any number, but I like it 110. I can use 5, 6, it doesn't matter. 110 is a local significance. Remember that, it's local significance. Then I'm going to say network. Okay, I want to do my LAN part, which is right here, 3030. So I'm going to say what? 30.30, oops, sorry, .30.0. That's what my subnet ID is. Now, /24 means what? The wildcard 0.0.0.255 area what? 0. Then I'm going to do my loopback address. So I'm going to say what? Network 2.2.2.0 question mark. I need a what? Wildcard again, which is what? Because that's the loopback is the /24 0.0.0.255 area what? 0. Now I'm going to advertise what? This guy. Network. Watch. 20.20.20 dot. Again, this is .6 is. You better use what? Subnet ID. Remember, for example, it's .4 question mark. What I need? I need a what? Wildcard. Which is wildcard for /30 is what? 00.3. 0.0.0.3 area 0. Watch. As soon as I press enter, you're gonna see that some kind of activity. Router 1 and router 2 becomes what? Neighbors. Why? Because router 1 is already advertising this network, sending hello packet. This guy advertised network, and I see that. Now let's look at show run. Show run again. Router 2, right here. Router OSPF 110. Okay. Network on exam. Anytime you see this, that means I'm advertising the whole LAN. Anytime I see this network 2020.4, remember that from last video, I'm advertising what? .4, .5, .6, .7. I'm advertising the whole block of that, okay? I'm advertising .5 and .6, okay? So right now we have that. Here's my show run as I did. Now let's look at the show IP OSPF neighbors. That's a key thing. On router 2, you have to become neighbors. So I'll go to router 2 right now. This is a command that you gotta know for life. Show IP OSPF neighbors. You wanna make sure they're neighbors. Aha! I see router 2 is neighbors. The 111 is the router IDs for router 1 is, and it says full. So life is good now, okay? So life is good. As we see that, remember that we talk about DR and BDR later on. DR, BDR does not apply to here. It's only applied to what? Fast Ethernet. Since it's full, you don't see the word DR. Okay? Now let's look at another command. show IP OSPF INT. Okay, so I go to router 2. Look what happened. Show IP OSPF INT. I don't mention anything. I don't say F0. When I say that, it shows what everything. Here's the keys. Look at this. When I do this, I see first what? Let's see. I see F00 up. Now look at this. You see network type broadcast. You see the DR. Because that's a LAN is, you have a DR and BDR. DR and BDR, we can cover that later on, okay? This is a loopback. We don't care about the loopback. Now look at the serial. What's the network type? It is point-to-point. In the point-to-point, there's no DR and BDR is. You only have the concept of DR and BDR on the LAN network type broadcast, which is LAN. It's another language that Cisco uses that, okay? So that's the key to understand that, okay? So I come down and I wrote down my notes. As we see, when I type show IP and brief, OSPF, I will give all interface. It's all interface. For F00 call what? Broadcast. I can see DR. For S0 call point to point. Now let's look at router 2 right now. Let's see routing table router 2. So show IP what? Route. Which is good. I see what? Network what? 30. Network 20 as connected. Network 20 as directly connect. SIM is connected. I see network 30 I connect, and also I see my what? Loopback. And also I see the other side. I see loopback 111, and also I see what? The network of what? 10 as OSPF. See network 10 right here. Network 10 as O. O means what? OSPF. Okay? And this is my what? Administrative distance. We're going to talk later on. And this is the causes. Okay, there. Okay? O means what? OSPF. So life is what? Good. Life is what? Good. Now I should be able to ping from what? PC1 to PC6 or PC4. Let's go to PC1 again. I use the up arrow key. Okay, let's just wait. Let's just wait. Alright, now I can ping that. Why I can ping that? Because router 1 can see this network. Let's go to router 1 right now. Okay? So as you see that, oops. Oh, this is my end of the notice. So if I go to router 1, show what? IP route. I see both network 20 directly connected. I see network 10 directly connected. Then I see what? Network what? 30. I see what? Right here. Okay? So life is good. That means I can summarize. Again, router 1 show run. The key is you have to always advertise what? Directly connected network with the correct subnet ID with the correct wildcard. Again, on exam, if we do anything, say show IP INT brief. Always you have to advertise this guy, that guy, and that guy. That's router 1. Let's go to router 2. You're going to say what? Show IP INT brief. You have to advertise network 30, network 20, and with the correct wildcard. And then when I say show run, and here's advertisement. See that? Subnet ID, subnet ID, subnet ID. The wildcard /24 /30 wildcard /24. You better use always area 0. Again, this number can be any number. Okay? That concludes our class for this one, for OSPF class. Next video, I'm going to talk about how we can do access list. On the access list, we're going to use the same wildcard again, same as before. Okay. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have a chance, check our website. Our website is www.asm.com. Inside the website, we put all of the notes on our blogs. We have a CCNA, CCNP, CompTIA Plus, Security Plus, Neto Plus, and CSS, and also we do community outreach. Okay, if you're in this area, we love to have help us. Basically, what we do in community outreach, we just go and feed the homeless people. Again, our next one is going to be February 2014, and so on. We do once a month. Okay, but if you go to CCNA blogs, I just want to show you that quickly. We have a bunch of blogs. All of this video is going to be right here. Like this is for DHCP server was, static route and password. If you click on DHCP server, we're going to put the notes for you. Everything, all the step-by-step that I talk about, like my notes going to be here. At the end of that, we're going to have the video. Okay? We appreciate for your time, and you have a good and enjoy day. Again, check our website www.asmed.com. Thank you. You have a good day. Bye.